The first order of business is acceptance of the minutes. The annual report came out 2 weeks ago, and hopefully people have had a chance to read through it. There's been some in the back of church. So, I'd like a motion to accept the annual minutes. And seconds out there? Second. So, does anybody have any questions on the annual minutes? They're also printed in the annual report from last year, from this year. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? So have it. Also, we need today to appoint a corporate secretary, because our corporate secretary is not here today. And I'd like to make a motion for Ellen Struble to be. Can I get a motion from the vestry? A second? Second, okay. All in favor? Ellen's sitting at the piano. Not to break into tune, but to be able to have a hard service to writing. So, second order of business is announcing the election of our judges, and the vestry held an election and asked Jim Pollock, Sally Pollock, and Dan Cole to be this year's judges of elections. They seconded and voted for it. Is there anything to question these people? All in favor? Okay. Ayes have it. So our judges are right now. The poll is closing in about 5 minutes. They will tally the results, and then we'll announce the results at the end of this. Hopefully they'll have it counted by then. So moving forward, since we don't have a rector in charge or a head priest, we have no clergy report. The clergy did write a report for the meeting. I don't know, Nancy, have anything you'd like to say at this point? In addition to that? Okay. So, senior ordinance report. Once again, I wrote a report, and it's in the annual report. I don't know if anybody has any questions or anything they want to bring up about that. Okay. There's also reports in the annual report from all different committees, and I don't know if anybody wants to offer anything, but the reports are, which you should see after the senior warden report. You should have the event fundraising reports, the parish parochial report. Now, interesting things happen there, and I want to, even though people don't have these in front of them, I want to bring it to your attention. To make a point of interest so that people can follow it easier. The parochial report is our attendance, which we send to the diocese every year, so they know how we're doing with attendance and people showing. We did a report for just the Easter Sunday attendance over the last 6 years, and the attendance this year was for all the services, the 7:45, 9 a.m., 11 a.m., the Easter Vigil. This year was 502 people attended the services. Last year was 701 people. In 12 was 830 people. And if we go all the way back, 09, when Dave was still here, it was 922. Now, there's, obviously we've had a trend going down. I think some ways to explain those trends to some degree. In 2012, well, a few of us remember that date. But in 2012, where it was 830, that was the first year of Michael, after we'd had a couple of years of no rectors here. So I think everybody showed up in force to see, the new rector and how he was working. In 2013, we had 130 less attendees, so there were people at that point that started dropping off. And this year down to 102. It just shows that this pleasure people have had with the church over the last year. And hopefully we've been able to work through, all those issues, and we're still trying to with the Alvin group, still work through some other issues. So please bear with us there. And so hopefully the trend with this new vestry coming in and the existing vestry that is sitting up here is one of their challenges is how we move the church forward at this point. Because in a sense, it's certainly not a clean campus, that we certainly have a lot of opportunities with the new vestry coming in. There's going to be a total of 7 people who will be new on the vestry. And so there's 7 people that are on there. There's four people that had 4-year terms. There's 2 people that had 1-year terms, and then 1 2-year term vestry positions that are open. And so they're being replaced with your voting, which hopefully you did before you came in today. As you go through the annual report, you can see the diocese convention report. You can see the worship ministry report. You can see the altar guild, where they also give you information about how their finances and everything else are. Wilson has his Advent, director's report for the music ministry. The Memorial Garden report, formation reports for adult and youth and children, and the Parish Life, which last year was called Pastoral Care, but was changed to Parish Life. Outreach ministries are all in there, so it's all very much worth taking your time and reading through them. One of the things also in the senior warden's report is I am senior warden and stepping down because I'm not running for re-election. So the vestry held an election which will take effect after this meeting today. And Brian Bende was elected as the next senior warden. That needs to be announced. Marshall.
Under the bylaw, the vestry that allowed this election is to be what's called stated meeting immediately after the annual meeting, at which time the new vestry is to elect the officers that are available. Now, with the situation that is in no record order, having been appointed by the director of the state, the bylaws again call for the election of all boards in each year because they are all vacant at the end of the term of this vestry.
You're absolutely correct, Marshall. But if you could allow me to continue a second, too. You're correct. I'm sorry I wasn't talking this. What we've done, we've elected for continuity Bryant Bente to come in, and she's taking it for taking this position as senior warden to have continuity to get into the next meeting. Somebody needs to be in charge of the next meeting when it starts, and I'm not going to be there because I'm not on the vestry. So Brian's doing it for no longer than, what was it, 3 months? 2 months. Than 2 months. The reason we took that step, Marshall, which was a little outside of the bylaws, is the fact that so it doesn't turn into a beauty contest today. That everybody has a chance for 2 months of working together, and then questions will be called for the warden positions at that point. And one they can do is, which is absolutely correct, what Brian just pointed out to me. When the group convenes today or tomorrow, they can choose to do what they want. There's nothing that carries it forward. But anything that we've done at this point, we were just trying to give continuity to it. So continue. George. Yeah. Trying to. Okay. How about this? Is it better yet? Okay. The next thing on the agenda is Forrest is going to give us our financial report.
George, is this good enough? Okay. In June of 2013, there was a vacancy in the position of treasurer, and I volunteered to become the interim treasurer until today, through the current church year. How about that for brilliant timing, folks? Nevertheless, we've survived the year, and I'm going to give you a brief summary of some of the highlights financially. All the details, the financials are in your report. At the end of 2012, we had a surplus of almost $200,000, and with that in mind, vestry approved a 2013 budget, which actually anticipated an operating deficit of $133,000. In other words, of that $200,000 surplus, they were going to use $133,000 of it for operations in 2013. At the end of 2013, the actual revenues fell about 2% short of budget, but expenses were 5% short of budget, and as a result, the actual deficit was $116,000 versus a budgeted deficit of $133,000. We had a real challenge during the budgeting phase for 2014 because we do the budgeting work in October, November, and December. And you may recall that we had an unusual event in early November when our rector was placed on restriction. So we didn't know whether or not he would be returning in 2014. So we actually had to create a budget using a case A and a case B, one case where the rector returns and one where he did not. We had excellent support from the Finance Committee, and we were able to craft a preliminary budget which was passed in December, which provided for two members for two clergy, and provided a slight surplus of $14,000. And in order to get there, we had to temporarily reduce the pay of all full-time employees, including clergy and lay people. I'm happy to say that in March this year, we had several members of our parish come forward and volunteer special funds, and we were able to restore all those people to normal pay starting in March, which is a very happy thing. And we came up with a final budget which added about $50,000 more dollars. And as a result, we now have a budget in place with everybody restored to the normal pay level and a slight surplus for the year. We also have some endowments. We have about $2 million in endowment funds. In my opinion and in the opinion of the Finance Committee, we are well served by our advisors. We have an excellent advisor at Merrill Lynch, and she and her team get us access to the very best managers. And if you look over the history of our endowments, our financial investment results have actually slightly outperformed all of their benchmarks. So we believe we are well served in the management of our existing endowment accounts. We are urging those of us who are involved in endowment believe that we need to expand the endowment committee, and we do need to have a new renewed focus on adding to the endowment for Church of the Advent. That concludes my remarks. Do you want me to take questions, or are you going to let me dodge those bullets? Are there any questions about the finances? Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Forrest. At this point, I'd like to open the floor. Any comments for this? People might want to conduct or ask questions of anything that's going on during the course of the year. We'll field those questions. Anybody has anything? Yes, Marshall. Thank you. Please stand.
And their faith, say, for my motion, that the form will follow from our discussion. In accordance with the bylaws of Camden, I move a motion calling on the incoming 2014-2015 vestry as required stated meeting voted in the files, stated in the definition of the file. Prior to the next regularly scheduled vestry meeting tomorrow evening, immediately following the end of this morning service. The motion specifically would have the members of the new vestry select by secret written ballot, the senior board and the finance board, each receiving a minimum of 7 votes, majority of the vestry.
Okay. There's a second. Anything on the question? Everybody hear that? George, did you hear it? Good. Okay. All in favor? Oh, discussion, I'm sorry.
The first item on the agenda, after Tom gives his report on some of the information that he has received so that the new vestry members will know it, is for the vestry members to either confirm or not confirm my continuing for no more than 2 months to provide continuity to allow the vestry to get to know each other and to figure out who will be the best people to lead the congregation. I don't think that the information in the biographies is really enough for that. This would be for no more than 2 months, and I really believe it's up to the vestry to decide if they want to do that. The alternative, I think, would be to have them elect somebody else for a period of 2 to 3 months, but not necessarily for the full year. Because I've never seen this many new members on a vestry at one time, and I don't think we know each other well enough to determine who would be the best lead us. It's also a question of who will have the time to do the job of senior board and of the other officers, because it's a very time-consuming job. So I would suggest that since it is up to the vestry to do this, that the best thing to do would be to not pass Marshall's motion, but to allow the vestry to determine how they want to handle it. That's what we're electing them to do.
Yes. Thank you. He said that there's no reason to have a vestry. We as a congregation sit here and try to micromanage what they do. Pete.
It may state this in the bylaws that the new vestry members have to elect a senior board. However, folks, this whole past year and a half has been a very unusual circumstances for this whole congregation, including the vestry, and they've done an outstanding job so far. You know, how can they elect a senior board when they don't even know each other yet? I mean, it's absurd to even think that. And I agree. The vestry, that's why they elected them to lead our congregation. They should be developed enough and have the vision and the wisdom to discern who they need to be elected to the board. But they aren't going to do it overnight in 24 hours. So I disagree with Ron's motion.
Also, during this 2-month period, there will be 2 vestry meetings, well, it'll be 3rd vestry meeting, where this vote would take place. During that period of time, we will have the opportunity to work together. We also will be on a day-and-a-half retreat together here, where we will be working on your ministries, and it will give us a chance to really get to know one another's strengths and to be able to have that opportunity to do so.
Thank you. Tim. Thank you. Yeah. Well, they still have the power when they convene stated meeting to ignore, even if this motion passed, they could still do what they want in this vestry. That's what they're elected to do, to operate independently within the guidelines. Yes, Don. Okay. It's been moved, so would table the motion. Okay, all in favor of, second? Second. Okay. All in favor of Marshall's, tabling Marshall's motion, please say so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Well, the voice meter said that the ayes had it. Okay. That put aside is concluded. I don't see the elect judges at this point, so they might not have concluded counting yet. So, yeah. So, at this point, there are numerous people that have given reports here from different ministries. I don't know if any of them would like to stand up and give any, continue to report out their ministry, or if they're in any need of needing additional help within their ministry, to stand up and talk about them. Yes. Okay. Yeah, be happy to, but Richard's the best one because he's heading that up.
Let me sort of recap. As you all know, the bishop charged us to engage a consultant. We did a search and concluded that Susan Nienaber of the Alban Institute was the best fit for us. We engaged her. She has been visiting with us 3 times, once to get to know us and to understand the issues that we were dealing with, and submitted a report for us. She helped engage us to do the book read, which many of you participated in, and that was a powerful process. We had 60 or 70 people participating. She engaged us in a several-hour process of looking at healthy and unhealthy norms that we were living, all to provide a foundation for the construction of a behavioral covenant, which is underway. And then she was here in March for a series of reconciliation events, a number of which of you participated in. Some of you have kept up with what's happening. The Alban Institute has folded, but she continues with us as an independent, so we now contract Susan Nienaber Consulting LLC. She will stay engaged. We have a process. Where's Frank Zeiner? Frank is taking over chair of the reconciliation team, as we are now called, considering, again, moving name to become the renewal team as a process as we continue to lead the renewal of the congregational fitness effort. The team is formed to explore the actual construction of a set of behavioral covenants. And where is Mark Schrader and Deb Schmidl? Is Deb off? You are leading the team, which will get started on that. We have foundation materials, and the goal is to have the behavioral covenants ready for full congregational feedback by the fall. Is that correct? So the behavioral covenant work is underway, and we'll have something for the full congregation to engage in the fall. We have started the process of looking at creating a church history, or as we call it on the team, the Advent story. Frank will be leading that effort, and we'll give information out to you as we structure the process to actually do that. And in terms of continuing play, continuing feedback, continuing source for you, a place for you to pass your insights and questions and requests. Frank, raise your hand or stand up. Frank, now leading the team, feel free to pass Frank and the others on the team. RJ, that answers your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I can tell a story or two. Go back, yeah.
Well, since there's some airtime, never let it be known that a clergy person wouldn't take advantage of some free airtime. Let me just do the announcements now, so that I don't have to come up. George, can you hear me? I got my own microphone on. Okay, all right. Okay, I just wanted to make note of a couple of things. Let me stand out here so I don't have my back to people. This coming Wednesday evening, our biblical scholar, Pete Enns, will be here. It will be a wonderful evening of formation. All are invited. You participated this morning in the B90 graduation. They, of course, will be there. But this is a chance for all of us to ask our questions about the Old Testament, the New Testament. It's going to be a typical Advent evening. We're going to have food first. Beginning at 6:30, we'll have refreshments. From 7 to 7:50, people will speak and engage your questions, and then we'll close with Compline. So during the Eastertide, please check your calendars and come join us this coming Wednesday at 6:30 and Wednesday, the 7th of May. Speaking of May, we have another big event coming up on Friday, May 2nd. We have our Gospel Junior will be performed under the direction of Alexis Stroke. The children have been working, there's Alexis, the children have been working, youth have been rehearsing, putting in super hours. So please mark your calendars to join us for Friday evening, May 2nd. It's going to be a smashing performance. It'll be a great chance to be together on a Friday night to support our music program. Also in May, on May 17th, the Chefs of Advent will be back by popular demand. And I understand Diane Bieberback and her team are also selling tickets for that event. So that will be in the narthex after the service today. I think that's all the announcements that I was going to talk about the annual meeting, but we don't need to talk about that anymore. So, do we have an yes, Alexis?
Ooh, hi. Wow. Ooh. Cool. Okay, so yes, the kids have been working really hard. They have fabulous choreography. They all pick out their own costumes. We just got a whole bunch of lights and set pieces and costumes in that were ordered for the show, and it's going to be a wonderful production. I wanted to put out just a cattle call, basically, for any youth or young at heart who would like to be involved in the technical elements of the show. This week is our tech week. We have rehearsals Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this week, as well as today after church. We're going to be doing a little bit of set build. But if you are more of a backstage type of kid or person and you would love to be involved that way with either lights or sound or special effects, please come and see me after church today. We have a couple more positions that need kind of that type of help backstage, and we would love to have you involved. That's it. Thanks.
I forgot two important announcements. Wilmer Powell's Requiem Eucharist will be this Thursday, the 1st of May at 7 p.m., and Jack Warzonek's Requiem Eucharist will be Saturday, May 3rd at noon.
Okay, thank you. They're still counting. I guess they had to take their shoes off. But there is one more announcement, too, which has to do with the annual meeting. As everybody heard, Forrest is stepping aside after giving us a tremendous year. And Steve Burnett has agreed at this point to move forward and pick up the work that Forrest was doing. And was it? Yeah, and as Brian just pointed out to me, was duly elected according to the bylaws by the vestry. So everything is in order there. Yes, Dick. Yes, at this point, the question was if we could give some insight as to the steps and what lays forward for the church in filling the empty rectorship at this point. So where it sits at this point is the conversations with the bishop. The bishop has agreed to allow Advent to continue since it has two very able assistant rectors, Nancy and Linda. And what an outpour of love. Boy, the bishop did make one right decision. But he's agreed, and he has not necessarily put a time limit on it. It's up to the congregation and, of course, the new vestry that's coming in that takes over to define how long that's going to be. You know, he would rather it wouldn't be a couple years. Yeah. Yes, Lee. Yeah, what Lee Stack just said, it's her understanding that the vestry and the senior warden are actually in charge of church, and that is correct. At this point, without a priest in charge or a rector in charge, the vestry is responsible for the church, and that means it's responsible not just for the building, but for the employees, which include clergy. So the senior warden, which is another reason why it's extremely important that the vestry goes through a time of knowing to deal with each other and how to build and make a correct decision for a senior ward, because that person is responsible for the employment in the church. And they have to be willing to step up and take that job on. In addition, it's just not as the senior warden was before, following along behind the rector's warden and sweeping up. It's actually running everything. Well, that's something they would, you can pass that on to the new vestry. Yeah, you can always talk to Nancy and always talk to Linda. I mean, she wanted to she was trying to pin the vestry down as to when a priest in charge is going to be hired. And I said that's the vestry decision, with what I just said. And she wanted more definition of who to talk to, and I said you always talk to Linda or to Nancy. And they certainly know where to go after that. That's Susan. Okay. Senior warden, rector's warden. I was the rector's warden behind Michael. When Michael was no longer here, that you didn't need a rector's warden because you didn't have a rector. At the same time, too, there was a people's warden who was Marion. And so what the vestry did is when there was no more rector's wardens needed, they called a vote, and I was elected as the senior warden. And because there is no rector, and the senior warden was the person. And then at that point, Marion was elected as a junior warden. That's correct. Rector warden is appointed by the rector, and the senior warden is appointed by the rest of the vestry. And in a sense, the senior warden would be like a parliamentary procedure, in the sense that it's whoever has the ruling party, if you want to look at it that finely, and can get the votes to manage the government. That's who runs it. What? Under our bylaws now, yeah. There's when you get into when you get to the canons, you could do that if you want to, but that would have to happen there. Is the the priest in charge or the rector would have to give up that power to the vestry. And, he comes in, whoever he or she, that person is, has the power to have, to name it, but they don't want. We would have to change the bylaws to do that. Not candidates. The other question was the difference between a rector, priest in charge, and an interim. Well, an interim is someone who comes here who is like a priest in charge. They come and they take over the governing and running of the church. They're appointed by the bishop. A priest in charge is also appointed by the bishop, and they also take over the spot of running and exercising all the powers of the church as the person that's in charge. So that's where we are with that, is the fact. Priest in charge, yes. We can hire a priest in charge. We can go back to the vestry could go to the bishop on Monday and say we want a priest in charge.
And the difference is that the priest in charge could be called the rector, and the interim priest not be in the interim.
Right. Pete. Right, it's just a time period of time.
Very competent assistant priests, Linda and right now. What would happen if the new vestry and the new vestry asked the bishop, well, gee whiz, we already have two priests we really like, can we do as a bishop? I know he has economic power and so forth. Make one of these folks all right. Have the other one and assist. That way, we wouldn't have to go through a search. If we hire, but right now, our stewardship, our membership, our actual membership is down to about 885 people. Okay, we call the list of those folks that who haven't been here in 2 or 3 years and everything. We've taken on all our roles as a staff member.
And that's down from about 1,200 family people.
We wouldn't be able to afford a rector and 2 assistants. We would like to do that, because I think most of us just feel that. So if you sign one up, then the rector, he doesn't want to. That is my challenge to do that. Somebody, I think, needs to get that challenge to make that happen within this calendar year.
Excuse me, Susie? At this point, the bishop, as I said, has allowed both of them to stay places because they're very competent to continue the job. As far as putting one of them or the other in the position, I think they have to ask them too. They got to agree to it. And, that step hasn't happened all the way yet. Once we start the motion, though, what's going to happen is the bishop's going to continue the motion. So even if he doesn't accept either of them, or for some reason or another they don't get chosen, you can't start the process and then tell him, oh, stop it, because he's going to start the process of looking. But he's given it to this vestry, and yes, this vestry can petition him to hire one or the other.
She is recommending what I was asking for, that we hire a rector in charge. I said that would encourage all of us in the congregation to contact the vestry and recommend to them what we all would like to see happen.
Did everybody hear Susie? Okay. Yes. Yeah, it's Yeah, and I can explain to you what happened. Yeah, what Paula just said is, the vestry was posting on the internet, or excuse me, through the emails that came out to you, the monthly vestry meeting minutes, and they still have, Paulette. They've been going out every month. But the problem is it broke down, and where it broke down, there was only one person doing it, and he's retiring, and he ain't doing it anymore. So somebody in the vestry is going to have to step up and say, I'll do it, because it was done from within the vestry. And they're approved 30 days after, just like the minutes were approved today for 2012. Just as next year's will be, for 2013, next year's will be 2014. The minutes aren't approved until the beginning of the next vestry meeting. So the vestry minutes, the last ones that went out would have been in February. March will be approved at the beginning of the April meeting. So you haven't missed anything. It's there, people look at them and say, why are we seeing something 30 days older? And really, they're not. It's not approved until then. Yeah, they're posted simultaneously down in the Marriott Hall in the front. We have the election results. Is that in the hand back there? Yeah, bylaws have always been followed, but just for your comfort too, we print it out, and there's a vestry handbook that has the bylaws in it. The new vestry members will be handed within an hour the bylaws, so they can, as well as the canons, so they can familiarize themselves with them. Okay, the election results. You want to read them? Okay.
There's some question as to...
Uh-oh. Question.
No, about the length of the term.
Okay.
All right, so we've got over the four, they got the 3-year terms, right? So most of them is 3. 1, 2, 3, and that's what we got. So there's no further 3 years. And then the 3.
Okay. Okay. I'll read the 3-year terms first. Are George James, Kevin McLean, Susan Pignola, and Al Rundle. The 1-year terms, Damon St. Clair, Chris Pepe, Monica Oboda. Thank you. I guess thank you to the election committee for doing that. Thank you. Is there any other business to be brought forward to this annual meeting? The results? Okay, 3 years. George James, Kevin McLean, Susan Pignola, Al Rundle. 1 year. Damon St. Clair, Chris Pepe, Monica Oboda. Okay. And Linda's going to offer a prayer for adjournment.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we give you great thanks that you are in our midst, that you are present and all of our laughter, our conversation, our leadership. We know that you are with us. We ask you to be with us now as we silence ourselves and prepare to worship you at the altar. We give thanks for the vestry for those who have served. We give thanks for those who will serve. And most of all, we give thanks for the resurrection of your Son and our Savior, Jesus Christ the Lord. Amen.